Hello everyone, welcome on into a very special and unfortunately our final Betting Weekly WTA of 2024. We look ahead to the Tour Championship Finals, and to do so for the last time this year is our WTA handicapper. It is Rory Jiwani. Rory, it's the last one of the year. Bit sad, a bit of a sad show.
Yeah, shedding a tear.
I won't go that far, but it's sad.
No,
it's sad.
It's been a bit of a long end, isn't it? It has felt like it's been dragging out last few weeks, some of these tournaments. So we still got a couple of interests in the ones this week. Katie Boulter's into the semis in Hong Kong. She's looking good, and she now faces Yuan, who beat Sophia Kenin, who scuppered us last week. And we still got Ann Lee in Merida in Mexico, who's now vying for favouritism at $4. So, it's going okay. Lucrezia Stefanini went out last night, 6-4 in the third to Sara Sorribes Tormo, who is now the favourite at plus 350. But Lee's the favourite. Well, she's the shortest priced in her half of the draw. Boulter's the shortest price in her half of the draw. So if they both make the finals, we'll be doing all right. And you never know, if one of them wins it, that would be happy days.
Yeah, I would say we want to end the season on a high, but this is the last tournament. We're going to end the season on a high on that tournament and this tournament. So we have got some good picks running for us. And obviously the conclusion of that event comes over the weekend. But now we are turning our attention to the Tour Championship. The top 8 women players in the world head to a new venue. They're out to Saudi Arabia for the WTA Championships. It's a star-studded field, big money at stake, and no surprise the market is dominated by the top 2 in the world, Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek. Before we look at the runners and riders, give you the odds, look at the groups and the best bets for the first sets of matches in the groups, what are the conditions going to be like? I mean, we don't really know. Obviously, it's the first time we've been to this venue. It's a new venue. It's indoor court. I expect it to be hard, but it's got to be an improvement on last year's fast that was in Cancun with the rain. The court was breaking up. It was an absolute embarrassment for the Tour Championship last year in Cancun. You would expect the Saudis to put on a show. We saw last week the tournament they ran, the 6 top players, the 6 kings who went over there for that big money event. It was quite quick there. And I'm guessing it's going to be those kind of conditions again for these Tour Championships.
Yeah, so when I started looking at it, I was thinking about Riyadh because it's at altitude. And I was thinking, that's going to be a factor. But it's indoors, so it's not going to be a factor, really. And obviously, Riyadh's hot, but it's indoors, so that's not going to be a factor. But it is indoors, and that's a big thing. And it's on green set, which we know is a pretty quick surface. Cincinnati earlier this season, one of the quicker hard courts in the season. Actually, this week in Hong Kong, they're playing on green set in quite warm conditions. And that's proved to be pretty quick. Service hold percentage of just over 70%. So it's playing very quick in Hong Kong. Indoors on a fast surface, I think it's going to be really quick. And I don't think that's been factored particularly into the odds. When we talk about this, the speed, we sound like a stuck record perhaps saying this, but when the courts are quicker, we know that's going to favour the bigger hitters and the bigger servers, the likes of Sabalenka, Rybakina, Pegula. And it's not going to help the likes of Swiatek and Coco Gauff. So that is my starting point. Obviously, that's based on what we know. We won't know until we see the first match, I guess, how quick it's actually going to be. But for these WTA finals, I think it's going to be one for the bigger hitters and the bigger servers.
Let's have a look at the outright prices. You say that hasn't really been factored into the odds making from Bet Rivers, and these are the prices on the top 8 players in the world. Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1, is the favourite, plus 180. Maybe given her form at the end of last year, given her form at the US Open, in quick conditions, you would have thought that potentially she could be a little bit shorter than that. Iga Swiatek obviously wasn't at the best at the end of this year. She's plus 225. She is the defending champion, but this is going to be very, very different to the conditions that she won in last year in Cancun. Coco Gauff would want it a bit slower. She's 6. Zheng, who's been excellent at the end of the season. She won for us last week or the week before last as a 3-unit pick. She's $7. Rybakina, I mean, what to expect from her? We don't absolutely no idea what to expect. She's $9. You would think that if she's fit, she's a price that could contract to half that very, very quickly. Or if she's unfit, she can go out to 20 to 1. Just Pegula, always nearly girl for me, just doesn't beat the top player. She's 9-1. Jasmine Paolini looked tired at the end of last year, 25-1. And Barbora Krejcikova, who ended the season nowhere near the form that she showed by shocking the world and winning Wimbledon, she is a 33-1 outsider. So just looking at this draw here and looking at these 8 players, if it is as quick as you say, and it's going to be quick, it really only, there is really only 2 people in this draw, or 3 people at the max, you would consider betting. One of them is Sabalenka at 180, one of them is Rybakina at $9, and the other one is Pegula at $9. But I mean, to me, it looks very, very difficult to get past the tournament favourite.
Yeah, I think Sabalenka's a play for me. She's not a betting price. I mean, we'll look at the groups, but she's not a price to win her group. But plus 180 for the title looks big for me. And Swiatek is a massive fade at plus 225 in the likely conditions. And Swiatek, big unknowns about her. She hasn't played since the US Open. She's had, she split with her coach. She's got a new coach in Wim Fissette, who is interesting. I mean, he's been around for a while. He's a very good coach. He does get results with his players, but it can take time. There's usually a bit of an adjustment period. It's more noticeable actually after, there's always a split. He doesn't seem to last very long with players. After they split, the player's form often takes a nosedive, but that's not to worry about for now. But, I think Swiatek might find that a bit different working under Fissette from her previous coaches. So, it's, that combined, and she hasn't played since the US Open. So those factors make me, want to fade Swiatek big time. Out of the other players, Rybakina, as you said, she's another player who hasn't played since the US Open. She's had injury, she's had illness. She split with her coach, Stefano Vukov. Sounded like quite not a particularly amicable split, judging by some of the reports. And what sort of form is she going to be in? If she was in form, she'll probably love conditions. She's the best server in the game. She's only completed 2 matches since Wimbledon. I did check her Instagram last night, and she had her first post for 2 months of her practicing in Dubai with Simona Halep last week. And it was titled Back at It, which kind of suggests she hasn't been doing too much training. She has missed a couple of tournaments through illness and injury. And then she split with the coach, and she was saying that she wanted to be back for the finals, but you just don't know how fit she's going to be. There was 30 seconds of training footage of her and Halep. It was all very overproduced and with music and stuff. You can't really tell much from that. But Halep was well beaten by Jiwani in Hong Kong at the start of the week. So you can't. You're just taking it on trust that she's back on form. I think she's one to oppose here. She can't be match fit. And first up, she's got Jasmine Paolini, who's a player who does like playing big servers. So for me, Swiatek and Rybakina are 2 to fade, and Pegula, I think, has got a great chance in her group. The way the groups have turned out, Pegula's in a group with Swiatek, Gauff, and Krejcikova. I think that's right, isn't it? Yes, that is right. So I think Pegula's got, out of the draw, I think Pegula can be the happiest with it. Whereas the purple group, you've got Sabalenka, Paolini, Rybakina, and Qinwen Zheng. That looks a tougher group to me, given the likely conditions.
Yeah, let's have a look at the groups. I mean, this is quite interesting here, the group betting. The one interesting thing for me, how did they come up with the colours purple and orange? I mean, you got red and blue. Being in Saudi, we thought there'd be a green and a white maybe, but purple and orange of all the colours. Why the hell purple and orange group? Anyway, let's have a look at the purple group. Sabalenka is no surprise a heavy favourite there, -167. Zheng is +350. Rybakina, Rory's fade is $4, and Jasmine Paolini at 12. And in the orange group, Iga Swiatek is +120. Gauff is +170, Pegula is +350, and Krejcikova is 1,400. Given the fact that you're going for a fade of Rybakina, a fade for Gauff and Swiatek as well, by the process of elimination, I'm guessing that we're betting Pegula in the orange group, and in the purple group, I think we're probably not going to have a bet. That would be my assessment. Assessment of it.
That's spot on. I mean, Krejcikova, she's not been in great form since winning Wimbledon at all, and she's had injury problems. She's been wearing a sleeve in practice and in matches. Her last match was in Ningbo a couple of weeks ago, and she pulled out of her quarter-final with a back injury against Mira Andreeva. WTA Finals, obviously, it's the end of the season, and we do see players pull out during the tournament. We saw, I think, a couple of years ago, we had two. I think it was Osaka pulled out, and Andreescu. Maybe that was a bit before that, actually. That was a few years previous. It was 2019, beg your pardon. But both of them were unable to complete their round-robin fixtures, and they usually have some alternates. I'm not sure who the alternates are this year, actually. I know Emma Navarro was supposed to be one, but she decided not to bother. Because there was this, I don't know if it was controversial, but it was supposed to be the top 8 players in the world, but it ended up being the top 7 plus Krejcikova because she won Wimbledon. And Navarro, who was number 8 in the race to Riyadh, decided she doesn't want to turn up. So I'm not quite sure who the alternates are.
I think if it went on the rankings, it would be Qinwen. She was 9th in the race. Okay. So Navarro, I think it'd be Qinwen. Collins is 10th.
I saw a video from her.
Badosa.
Yeah, I saw a video from Qinwen saying the end of the season. She does videos with her girlfriend, like of them on tour, and they were visiting, going and seeing dolphins and stuff, like playing with dolphins and stuff like that. And that was their end of the year video. So I'm not sure she's there either. So who knows what will happen if someone pulls out injured. But Krejcikova, you just can't back at the moment for fitness reasons as much as anything, and form reasons. So I think Pegula's a big price there in the orange group. She hasn't been brilliant since reaching the US Open final, has to be said. But, what was her last match? She lost to Jinyu Wang last time out. Pretty tame exit. But before the Asian swing, she won Toronto. She reached the finals in Cincinnati on the same surface as this one, on green set. And then, of course, she reached the final in New York. And I think first up against Gauff, she's won her last 3 matches against Coco Gauff. And I think Pegula is a big price there. What was it, plus 450? Is it plus 450 for the group?
I 350.
350, beg your pardon. Plus 350. I think she's a big price to win the group.
So we got so looking at the official plays. So where the strategy here is Sabalenka to win it, on the tournament winner.
Yeah, I'm having 2 points on Sabalenka.
2 points. I mean, that could be that. Honestly, that plus 180 after one match. If she wins her first match and Swiatek struggles, then she could possibly be plus 110 very, very quickly. That's a line move that's going to move very, very quickly if the conditions that we expect are we're going to witness. So Sabalenka is a 2-unit play plus 180 to win the Tour Championship. The purple group, we're in with Sabalenka anyway, and we can't find any value to oppose her. And in the orange group, we're fading Swiatek and Gauff, and we're going with just Pegula at plus 350.
That's right. Yeah, 1 point on Pegula at plus 350, I think.
Yep.
Given the likely conditions, I could look really silly after a day and it turns out like playing like a pudding, but I can't see it being anything other than quick. And those conditions will favour Pegula over the likes of Gauff and Swiatek. I mean, I remember, in Sydney, the United Cup at the beginning of last year, beginning of 2023, Pegula absolutely dismantled Swiatek. I think it was 6-2, 6-2, and Swiatek was in tears afterwards. In fast conditions, Pegula is a very, very difficult player to beat.
And there she is, plus 350. And she has an excellent record against Coco Gauff, which we're going to come on to just now. We're going to look at the first set of matches, the first rubbers. The first match we're going to discuss is Sabalenka against Zheng. Obviously, the Olympic champion against the world number 1. A very, very interesting match to start proceedings, but not very interesting if you're a follower of the head-to-heads, because Sabalenka leads 4-0 against Zheng. The last time they met was in Wuhan this year in the final. Tight match, only time it's ever been quite competitive. Sabalenka won 6-3 in the final set, but all the other meetings between them have been straight sets, including the quarterfinal at the US Open this year, where Sabalenka blew her off court 6-1, 6-2, and she also beat her in the final of the Australian Open as well this year, 6-3, 6-2. So she's definitely got the upper hand over Zheng, but Zheng is playing well at the moment. I must admit, she ended the season better than anybody. Minus 250 on the money line for Sabalenka, $2 for Zheng. The spread is 3.5, and the total here is 21.5. And it's a pick and market over and under, both about the same price of minus 112. It's such an overwhelming head-to-head, isn't it? Can you make any case for Zheng, or we're not going to bet her because we've got an interest on her to win the tournament? But can you give Zheng any kind of hope anyway for our bettors to think that she can beat Sabalenka here?
Not really, no, to be honest. I mean, as you say, in the Wuhan final, Zheng did take a set off Sabalenka for the first time. She had the home crowd behind her. They really got behind her there. She won't have that here. And Sabalenka, she is the new world number one. She is world number one ahead of Swiatek. And I think she's got a point to prove here. I think she's really keen to hold on to it. And first matchup, I can see her making a statement here. And as I say, the conditions, Sabalenka will relish these conditions. Zheng should get plenty of cheap points on serve as well. But for me, Sabalenka in straight sets is a bet. The prices allow it. The bet here is Sabalenka minus 1.5 sets at plus 107. I was surprised to see that at plus money. And I think it's worth a go. So it's just a point, but Sabalenka minus 1.5 sets at plus 107 is a bet for me.
Yeah, Sabalenka to win in straight sets, minus 107. She's got that 4-0 record against Sabalenka. And remember, the action starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So you've got plenty of time on Saturday, that is. So you've got plenty of time to head across to the BetRivers website and the app, place your bets. Obviously, if you bet with live with BetRivers or bet on this match with BetRivers, you'll be able to bet live and watch live. All these matches will be streamed on the app and on the mobile device as well, and on your home computer. So you'll be able to watch the matches if you place a wager with BetRivers. Also, maybe you make sure you subscribe to this channel. Betting Weekly Studios, a huge amount of new subscribers, welcoming you along every single week. Thank you very much to the community here. Great to have you along. If you've got a pick or you've got a fancy, put it in the comments box below. We want to hear what you have to say as well. It's not all about us, but we want to have a little bit of a community here and give us your picks as well. Let's move on to our second match. And that one is Paolini against Rybakina. Now, Rybakina, this is one here. I mean, I wouldn't know where to go here. Rybakina obviously hasn't played since the US Open. She's minus 230. Paolini looked very, very exhausted, and her season run its course after the US Open. She's plus 180 currently with BetRivers. The spread on this match is a high one. It is 3.5, and the total here is 21.5 at minus 108 for under and minus 118 for over. If you like your head-to-head, these two have met 5 times previously. Well, they've actually met 4 times previously. They have met 5, but one of them was a walkover. They've met 4 times previously, twice this year. Paolini won on clay in the quarterfinals of the French Open. Rybakina won on clay as well in Stuttgart. But all the matches have been quite long. They've been quite long matches here. And it's 2-2 on the head-to-head. So I'm quite interested in the over 21.5 games, here. I think it could be quite... Rybakina's going to take a bit of time to get going, I expect. And she might want to... I'm not saying that she want to have a little bit of a test, but, it's not going to be... She'll want to feel her way through to the tournament, get better as it goes on. And I'm quite liking the over 21.5 here, especially given these two's history and their head-to-head records and some close matches this year.
They have. Just concerned about Rybakina that she's not match fit. I'm not sure about her physical fitness. So that 30-second video, what was on it was her serving. Didn't look like she was serving particularly hard, and Halep was returning most of them. We know that when Rybakina's serving well, she's very hard to stop. And as I say, Paolini, you mentioned head-to-head, Paolini is a player who, she's a good returner. She likes playing the big servers. She's done well against the likes of Rybakina and Sabalenka in the past. The Stuttgart one's interesting because that's indoors and on clay. But it is indoors, and that's why it's so quick. So the big servers tend to do well there. So it could be similar here, but I just just can't have Rybakina after this long break and coaching change, and we know that she's had so many injury and illness issues over the last couple of years. I think the way I want to play this is, we've got plus 180 for Paolini to win, and I'm going to have a half a point on that. But I really like Paolini to win the first set, just because Rybakina, I just think she's going to be so rusty. And it's going to take her a while to get up to speed. So I want to have a point on Paolini to win the first set at plus 143. But yeah, if Rybakina is, if she's back to her best, which would be a surprise, but if she's serving well and hitting the ball well, she could win this tournament because the conditions should be perfect for her. But she hasn't played in so long, and there's been a lot going on, off the court, and I just, it just feels like, I'm not going to say she's just turning up for the prize money. There is a lot of money at stake here, but I just can't believe she's going to be at her best here.
Mm. Those matches are both on Saturday in the purple group, and we move to Sunday. We go across now to the orange group, and our first match. Crazy numbers. I'm not having orange and purple. Meant. I mean, I can't be having it. Coco Gauff up against Iga Swiatek is our first match, up against the Wimbledon champion Barbora Krejcikova, and the heaviest favourite on the card is Iga Swiatek, minus 770. Barbora Krejcikova is plus 525, and the spread here is 5.5 with total 19.5. Krejcikova has had some injury concerns. Swiatek obviously is a bit cold, a bit rusty, new coach, as you said, conditions aren't suiting her, but yet she's a very, very heavy favourite, and yet the last two times they've met, Krejcikova has won both of them in finals in Australia in 2022 and in Dubai in 2023. The two wins for Swiatek were back in 2021, so she hasn't beaten Krejcikova for almost 4 years. So this is an opponent that's given her problems before. There is doubts about Krejcikova's form and her fitness, but she's a quite a tempting price here. She is the Wimbledon champion. She's up against an opponent that isn't going to feel comfortable in conditions. Total games again look cheap to me at 19.5. I don't know if you agree with me here, but I think this might be a little bit of a tougher test than those odds suggest.
Could be. For me, I was looking at this and I just thought, I just want to leave this one alone. There's so many unknowns about both players. Obviously, you've mentioned Swiatek hasn't played since US Open. Krejcikova, form and fitness worries. I just cannot. Obviously, when you look at matches, you try and sort of see, almost like visualize how they're going to go. I've got absolutely no idea how this one's going to go, to be perfectly honest.
I think one thing, Rory, just one thing about this match. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I think the good thing about this match here is that we will be able to watch Saturday's matches, so we'll see the court, we'll see the conditions, and we'll know roughly how it's going, and that's very important for the next match we're going to discuss as well. So I think the fact is that I would suggest that anybody looking to have a bet on the orange group is to watch the first two matches, see the court stats, see the speed, see the conditions, watch the games, and then you will have a much better way of guessing. This one here, the prices are so, they could change quite dramatically on what we're going to see from Saturday. So that would be my sort of way of thinking here.
I think that's very good advice. We don't know the court speed. We don't know how it's going to play. So I think, leave it alone for now and see. If it's playing fast, that would probably help Krejcikova. She's a good server. Obviously, she's Wimbledon champion. But her fitness is a real worry. And Swiatek, she's going to be a bit rusty as well. So one to leave alone, certainly for now. But you definitely get more of an idea after watching Saturday's matches.
Yeah. So Saturday's matches are in the purple group and the orange group have Sunday's matches. Our final match we are going to discuss is quite an intriguing one, actually, from a betting perspective. It's the All-American clash between Coco Gauff and Jess Pegula. Jess Pegula is being very, very underrated by the market here. Rory's already put Pegula up as his pick in the orange group here. And despite her decent record against Coco Gauff, she's won 4 of their 5 meetings. And they won this year 7-5, 7-6 in Berlin. And the only time Gauff won was back in Eastbourne in 2023. Despite that very, very strong record, there is money coming for Coco Gauff. Whether it's an American play that she's the darling of the American sports bettors, that they like her, that she's a popular play by the public, but she's being bet here. It's minus 180 for Coco Gauff, despite a 4-1 negative head-to-head and despite conditions, as we believe, not to suit the American number one. Was she the American number one now? Is she still the American number one? I think she must be still now. Right?
I think she still is, yeah.
Yeah, she's minus 180. Pegula is plus 145 here, and the spread is 2.5, and the total is 21.5. There is also over 30 different markets available with Bet Rivers on the website, on the app, on this match, and every other match as well. So if you can't find a bet on the money line or the spread or the total, there is a whole host of props as well. But for me, plus 145 Pegula looks a little bit too big. And the money's coming for Gauff here. It might even get bigger, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, your advice about watch what happens on Saturday, if it's playing quick on Saturday, Pegula won't go off plus 145. She'll be shorter, I'm sure. I mean, Gauff she was playing some really ordinary tennis, but still winning in Beijing. She got to the final, and then she was fantastic against Karolina Muchova. In the semis in Wuhan, she lost out to Aryna Sabalenka, but only just. I mean, that was a great match to watch. Gauff won the first set 6-1. She went a break up in the second, but then the double faults started to come and fast, and Sabalenka came back. And I think there, obviously conditions I think are going to be in Pegula's favour and against Gauff, and especially at the start of the tournament. We know that Gauff can have issues with her serve and her forehand. It's with the forehand, we've talked about it with her and Swiatek as well. It's quite an exaggerated sort of take back on the forehand. So when the ball's bouncing quick and a bit low, she can get caught out, and so her timing is off. And against Muchova in the final in Beijing, it was working beautifully, but it can take her a bit of time to find her timing. So I think she could easily have forehand issues in this opener. She could have service issues. And Pegula, she didn't have a great Asian swing by any stretch, but she's had a bit of a break now. She's proven in faster conditions. I think Pegula at plus 145 is a bet, and I wouldn't even wait to see what happens on Saturday before making that bet, because it's just too big. And she's won their last three meetings. I really like Pegula for this one, so it's a point at plus 145.
She played last year in the semi-finals of this tournament. She won 6-2, 6-1, Pegula. Incredible. So she has got a great record against Gauff. She knows how to beat her, and she's beaten her 4 times, and yet you can get plus 145. So I think that's probably, I agree with you, I think that's the best bet of the first set of matches on this day of the WTA Championship. So before we go, just give us a little recap of your official picks. And these are the final official picks of the year. So what do you got?
They are indeed. Well, the first one was 2 points on Aryna Sabalenka to win the title outright at plus 180. 1 point on Jessica Pegula to win the orange group. That's plus 350. And then looking at the matches starting tomorrow, 0.5 point on Jasmine Paolini to beat Elena Rybakina at plus 180. A full point on Paolini to win the first set against Rybakina. That's plus 143. We'll have a point on Aryna Sabalenka minus 1.5 sets against Qinwen Zheng. That is plus 107. And finally, a point on Jess Pegula to beat Coco Gauff at plus 145.
There you have it. This is going to make or break the year. This show here depends if we're in profit or in negative for the season. So it's come down to this, the final show. Will we make profit or not? Currently, we're minus 2.91 units down on the year. But obviously, Rory has Katie Bolter in the semi-finals. We also have Lee in the quarterfinals as well. So we've got 2 runners for us as well, which will hopefully be added to those top figures. On the Game Bet Match Show, 5 minus 551 for Sean, but he's got a week next week. And then the ATP Tour Championships in Turin, and the soccer guys in the Premier League and Extra Time are doing exceptionally well. So Betting Weekly Premier League and Betting Weekly Extra Time are winning about 16 units combined, mostly on the European show of Betting Weekly Extra Time. That's it. That's not only it for the show for the day, that's it for the year. So first of all, thank you very much, Rory, for all your expertise over the year. It's been a pleasure to join you most weekends and talk women's tennis. And thank you very much for everybody who's watched the show, commented on the show, liked on the show. There's still loads more content to come on Betting Weekly Studios. So if you just watch this show, you're not going to miss out. There's a lot of soccer action. The Champions League is back next week as well. And also the handicappers are on Betting Weekly Live every day at 4 o'clock Eastern time, where one of us goes along with Steve Wiss or Dan Roebuck looking at the best plays for that particular day and the market movers with Bet Rivers. So there's still plenty of content. Still like this show. Still subscribe to the show. Follow us on our socials at Because We Win. It's not over as far as the sport is concerned, but for the WTA tennis, that is it for the year. So Rory, let's go out on a high, mate. Let's smash it. Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Obviously, we had a better year this year than last year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can finish the year in profit. That would be lovely.
That would be nice indeed. And I'm pretty optimistic we will. I think Katie Bolt's going to get to the... We've got Bolter each way. We've got to the final.
We've got her each way. So
I think she'll be in the final. I think she'll play Leylah de Fernandez in the final, and we'll see how we go. But I'm sure we'll be in profit. Anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed these shows. Thoroughly enjoyed. Hope you have as well. Enjoy your month or so off, Rory. Take it easy.
Yeah, it's quick, isn't it? The new season starts, I think it's the end of December. So it's not that long before we get ready for the Australian Open next year. So it's a few weeks off and then back at it.
And it's only November the 1st. And I'm going to say something to you. Have a very happy Christmas.
And to you.
Because Nigel. I won't see you before then. So I've got to get it out there now. Happy Christmas in November the 1st. Enjoy your break. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that comments. Put some comments up there as well. What you like. Who's your best bet? Where's the angles? What are the best bets? Do you agree with Roy? Do you want to fade Roy? Let us know what you think. But thanks again for watching. Take care. And we'll speak to you all again very soon.